What if I told you that rich people don't just know more? They avoid specific silent killers in investing that quietly drain the wealth of the middle class every single day. Imagine two families, both working hard, both saving. One ends up wealthy enough to buy freedom, the other ends up broke, despite earning almost the same amount. It's not luck, it's not intelligence, it's the mistakes never made. Today, we're uncovering 10 major investment traps that the wealthy dodge like landmines, but most people step on without even realizing. Stick with me till the very end, because mistake number 10 is the silent destroyer of fortunes, one you've probably overlooked your entire life. And once you see it, you'll never look at investing the same way again. If you're ready to unlock your potential and achieve more, hit subscribe. We're dedicated to delivering actionable tips and real-life success stories. Let's get started. Mistake number 1. Chasing too good to be true returns. Have you ever noticed how lottery winners often end up broke? Money without wisdom vanishes as quickly as it arrives, and that's why the wealthy almost never fall for too good to be true opportunities that promise 40% returns overnight. Most people are drawn to these schemes because they're driven by desperation, wanting to get rich fast. In psychology, it's called the scarcity mindset, where fear of missing out and impatience override rational thinking. It's the same reason Ponzi schemes thrive. Did you know Bernie Madoff's victims included Hollywood elites, professors, doctors, and everyday middle-class people? He promised steady, guaranteed returns, and people trusted him because it sounded safe. Yet, the richest investors rarely got trapped. They were skeptical. Instead of chasing hype, wealthy investors build portfolios that compound steadily. If you invested $10,000 in the S&P 500 in 1990 and never touched it, it would be worth about $210,000 today, without lifting a finger. That's over 20x growth, and it happened because of patience, not magic. So here's the question. Are you chasing the thrill of fast money, or are you chasing freedom? Because if it's freedom, patience always beats greed. And speaking of patience, this leads us to a mistake even more subtle, one that happens not when you invest too quickly, but when you wait too long. Mistake number 2. Waiting for the perfect moment. Timing the market is a fantasy most people never grow out of. Ordinary investors wait for the stars to align. I'll invest once the market crashes, or once the economy stabilizes, or once I get a raise. But here's the truth. Nobody times the market perfectly, not even billionaires. If you miss just the 10 best days in the stock market over the last 20 years, your total returns would be cut nearly in half. That means waiting for the perfect moment is actually the worst moment of all. Rich people never delay. They understand the best time to invest was yesterday, and the second best time is today. Instead of timing, they trust time in the market. Think about this. If you started investing $500 a month at age 22, you'd likely end up with over $1 million by 60. But if you waited until 32, you'd only have around $500,000 even though you invested the same amount monthly. Delay steals wealth. Now you may be wondering, if time is more powerful than timing, how do rich people protect themselves during downturns? That brings us to mistake number 3, which has more to do with behavior than timing. Mistake number 3, selling in panic. Remember March 2020 when the stock market collapsed? Millions of new investors panicked, selling everything at record lows. Do you know who was buying? The wealthy. The reason rich investors don't sell during panics is because they understand human psychology. Panic selling is driven by our brain's loss aversion bias. The pain of losing feels twice as strong as the joy of gaining. But the wealthy reframe those moments as discount season. Warren Buffett famously said, "Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful." During crises, rich investors quietly scoop up assets while everyone else liquidates in fear. If you sold $10,000 worth of stock in March 2020, by the next year you would have missed out on a rebound that returned over 70%. That's how fortunes are lost, not in downturns but in panic. So ask yourself, when fear hits, do you see catastrophe or do you see opportunity? And that question directly ties into another mistake most people don't even realize they're making every single day. Mistake number 4. Treating savings accounts like investments. Most middle-class families feel safe keeping their wealth in savings accounts, but inflation silently eats that money like termites in wood. Rich people don't view the bank as their best friend. They view it as a temporary storage box. Real growth happens in assets, stocks, real estate, businesses. A savings account is for emergencies, not wealth building. The average millionaire keeps less than 5% of their net worth in cash. Why? Because idle money is diminishing money. Now, if savings isn't the answer, where do the wealthy actually put their capital? That's where mistake 5 becomes one of the sneakiest traps, because it's about where you keep all your eggs. Mistake number 5, overloading on one asset. Ever hear of the person who put all their retirement savings into their company's stock, only for the company to collapse? That's what happened to thousands of Enron employees. Diversification could have saved them, but loyalty blinded them. The wealthy don't worship a single asset. They spread risk. Studies show that the ultra-rich diversify into at least 4 different asset classes: equities, real estate, private businesses, and alternative investments like art or even vineyards. Why? Because when one market sinks, another can rise. Yet many everyday investors either hyper-focus on one stock, one property, or even one friend's business idea. It feels bold, but it's actually reckless. Think of it this way. If your life savings were a glass, would you carry it across a crowded room with one hand? Or would you use both, carefully? Diversification is using both hands. Speaking of hands, what if I said the biggest financial mistake isn't about where you put your hands, but who you shake hands with when investing? Mistake number 6 digs deep into that surprising truth. Number 6, trusting the wrong advice. Ever noticed most people take financial advice from coworkers, friends, or relatives, people who aren't wealthy themselves? It's like asking someone who's never flown a plane to give you flying lessons. Rich people, however, pay for advice. Billionaires hire tax strategists, wealth managers, and attorneys. Ordinary people avoid that because they think it's too expensive. But here's the paradox. Bad free advice costs more than good paid advice. For example, many middle-class families don't realize that a poorly structured estate plan can eat up 40% of wealth in estate taxes. Wealthy families pay experts to avoid that. So ask yourself, whose advice are you following right now? The guy next door, or someone whose net worth proves their strategy works? And speaking of invisible costs eating away at wealth, mistake number 7 is a monster that silently robs investors of millions in the long run. Number 7. Ignoring fees and taxes. You may think losing 2% a year in fees isn't much, but compound it over 30 years and you could lose half your potential returns. Half. For example, on a $500,000 portfolio, a 2% annual fee equals $10,000 a year, more than many people's entire annual savings. Wealthy investors obsess over cutting unnecessary costs because they know the math of compounding works both ways. This is why ultra-rich families use tax-advantaged accounts, trusts, and even relocate to tax-friendlier states or countries. It's not about greed, it's about efficiency. They understand the game has rules, and those who ignore them lose the game before it begins. But here's the real kicker. Even if you avoided all fees and taxes, there's another mistake that ensures most people never escape the financial treadmill. Mistake number 8 is the one that kills dreams quietly, not because of numbers, but because of mindset. Mistake number 8, focusing only on income, not ownership. Most people think wealth equals high income, but many doctors and lawyers earning $300,000 live paycheck to paycheck. Why? Because they trade time for money. Once they stop working, the income stops. The wealthy think differently. They ask, what do I own that earns money while I sleep? Businesses, stocks, rental properties. Ownership creates freedom. Employees and self-employed chase income. Business owners and investors chase assets. And that's why even modest entrepreneurs often end up freer than high-salaried workers. Number 9. Underestimating emotional intelligence in investing. We often think investing is about math, but rich people know it's about mindset. Emotional intelligence, controlling fear, greed, and ego, is often the hidden advantage. The average investor underperforms the market by about 5% annually, not because of bad picks, but because of emotional decisions, selling too quick, chasing hype, panicking at losses. The wealthy train emotional discipline. They meditate, journal, even consult coaches to keep themselves balanced. Because managing emotions is managing money. Ask yourself, How much has fear already cost you? More than inflation, more than taxes, maybe even more than bad investments. And that brings us full circle to the deadliest mistake of all. Mistake number 10, forgetting the end goal. Here's a shocking statistic. According to a 2017 Fidelity study, nearly 1 in 3 millionaires still don't feel wealthy. Why? Because they confuse investing as an endless game, not as a tool for life. Rich people who stay rich never forget the point of investing. It's not about beating the market, it's about buying freedom, time with loved ones, health, legacy. Most people forget this. They get caught in the chase, sacrificing the very life they were trying to build wealth for. They invest endlessly, but never withdraw joy. So let me leave you with this. The biggest mistake isn't losing money. The biggest mistake is losing sight of why you wanted money in the first place. The wealthy don't possess a secret gene. They simply avoid mistakes that sabotage everyone else. And you can too. Stop chasing quick riches. Stop delaying. Stop panicking. Stop listening to broke advice. Start owning assets. Start valuing time. Start measuring wealth not in dollars but in freedom. In every video, I try to discuss and address the factors that surely improve the chances of your success. If you like this, also subscribe the channel, like, and share the wealthy knowledge to your loved ones. If you want to know why the rich don't save money, then watch this video. I'll see you there.